Greetings, fellow Americans. Welcome to Fireside Chats, State of Our Nation. I am your host, Susanna Tanner, candidate for president 2028. It's been an interesting last couple of weeks, that's for sure. Let's talk about the immigration issue with some of our residents who have, some of our residents who have been deported. One of those residents was under a protected visa and is now in an El Salvadorian prison. I think a lot of us see this as straight up kidnapping, especially since his protected status was obtained in 2019, I believe it was. So, before Donald Trump ever took office, before Donald Trump left office, I should say, 2019, yeah. Now, the Trump administration is refusing to facilitate his return, and this has been ordered by a judge. Unfortunately, I think that from the actions that the Trump administration is taking, that they have no intention of abiding by any court order, and they will probably test the very limits of our Constitution and the powers of our individual branches of government. This is the way that Donald Trump has been handling this is definitely not the way that I would have handled this, or that I would handle this if given the opportunity. First of all, when it comes to the immigration, when it comes to going after those who are supposedly or suspected criminals, if you are in the United States, if you are on our soil, you are within our jurisdiction and subject to the jurisdiction of the United States. Therefore, due process applies. None of these detainees have been given due process. Just before we came on tonight, I received a headline, and it is the DOJ has released information regarding our resident who has been deported to El Salvador. They're claiming that, this is so silly to me, they're claiming that by him wearing Chicago Bulls gear, that he is a member in good standing with MS-13. That seems so far-fetched to me, and it really doesn't seem logical considering that the Chicago Bulls are a national team, that they are widely known. They have many fans who wear their gear. You can't prejudice people that way. You can't box them into a group that way. It's not logical. And on top of everything else, I'm pretty sure that there are many people within that particular community that would disagree that that's not how you identify someone in good standing with their gang. So the way that our government is progressing right now seems to be far-reaching, but not with a lot of solid evidence or good enough reasons to extend their reach that far. So Give me just a moment to look something up here. So, foreign names are definitely very hard for me to remember. Kilmar Abrego Garcia is the detainee in El Salvador. He's not just the only detainee there. As I stated, these people were not given due process. We would expect any of our citizens to receive due process. So, thinking that others who are in this country illegally are not, subject to that process, to me is a bit backwards. We even have given Donald Trump the courtesy of due process. So it's only logical to extend that to others, especially those on our soil. We can't really do much about those who are not on our soil at this time, except for our military. However, it is important for us to be able to work around this. Now, with the supposed evidence that has been released against this man who has who did obtain his protected status, the Trump administration does need to work to make sure that he comes home. There has also been a couple of incidences related to this. There was a student who was pulled off the street, who one of the ICE members who pulled excuse me who pulled this member off the street even said, "No, that's the wrong guy." And then they were told to take him anyway. This is straight up kidnapping. This is a lot of what they have done over in suppressed areas like Russia, Belarus, Cuba, places like that. If we do not want our nation to become like that, then we have to put a stop to it. We, the people, have the power. We have the power of speech. We have the power of press. We have the power of education. We have the power to say that we, the governed by consent, do not approve. We can also say we forbid it. And there are many ways that we can go about this. Some of these ways are already taking place, such as the protests that have been happening recently. There was the 50501 protest today, and that happened nationwide. A couple weeks ago, there was the hands-off protest, and that also happened nationwide. Making sure that we contact our representatives. That's also another way that we're going to get our voices heard. Speaking to the press, speaking to each other through social media, which is a lot of how all of us get our information in the first place. Unfortunately, we have come to realize that a lot of our media outlets have been paid to promote certain stories by certain political parties. So when the Trump administration decided to pull funding for many of the news outlets, I actually thought this was a good thing, because then maybe, just maybe, those news outlets will actually report more of the truth about what is happening in our government. And we can see that many of them are being shut out of the White House, like the press conferences and such, because they don't agree with, or they're too harsh on the Trump administration, the press secretary, all of them. And honestly, the press, they should be. Because we, the people, deserve to know the truth. We deserve to know what is happening in our government. We deserve to know and have transparency about what it is that our government is accomplishing. We do try to exercise our free speech. We do, make requests through the Freedom of Information Act. However, not everything should be requested that way. We should have a great deal of information that is presented to us publicly. Evidence, strong evidence, that supports allegations such as the issue with Abrego Garcia. I know that when it comes to immigration, a lot of us are very uptight and angry about this situation, about how many immigrants have come in illegally and are still here. Now, I have actually mentioned this in previous fireside chats. However, I think it's worth noting again that there are other ways to help immigrants go through the legal paths into the United States. I do read on the immigration website that, or not the immigration website, in one of the executive orders, that the Trump administration only wants those of high quality, basically those who are going to give them something. But what we really need are people who are going to benefit our nation. Now, there are immigrants who have been here for a very long time that are illegal immigrants that have benefited our nation and our economy in one way or another. Those immigrants who have been here for a long time, I would give them the opportunity to petition the people for their citizenship, for a chance to earn their citizenship. And this would take place through a fast track to citizenship. There are certain aspects of the fast track that apply to those who have been here for a long time already, but are not legal residents. Maybe it's because they overstayed their visa, or because they never had one in the first place. Petitioning the people shows that they are community oriented, that they want to help improve our economy, our local and rural, or our local and national economy. Making sure that these people have the opportunity to say, hey, we've been here for a while, this is what we've done for this nation, this is how we've helped the economy, really gives us the chance, really, to see what they've done for us. It's sort of a, here's my proof type of situation. Those who are at the border trying to come across now, I would honestly implement an app, in which at one point in time there was one, but as soon as the Trump administration took over, they discontinued the app, if I'm not mistaken. You can't use the app to apply for citizenship, and they are not allowing anyone else to try to apply. And I might be off on that part, but That seems to be how this is going. They're also not directing people from that are caught at the border trying to cross over illegally. They're not directing them to the appropriate website or to the facility. They're just detaining them. I don't know all of the procedures that they're going through right now, but making sure that all of those procedures are known is something that we the people should keep in our thoughts. Making sure that we know how they're treating others at the border. Now, don't get me wrong, there are some people who we should be wary of, especially if they're trying to come into our nation with weapons, drugs, stuff like that. Those people should be detained. Family members and such, they should be directed to either an appropriate crossing to get back on the other side, or they should be sent to one of the designated crossing areas and made to get in line there, basically. There's a lot of different ways that we can handle that. Now, as far as getting some of our people back, especially those who are actually American citizens, that one's going to be a little more difficult. And the reason for that is because when you are talking to the president of another country, you have to understand you cannot control what they do. You can only control what you do. Making sure that there is something to offer is going to be a key point. However, with this particular situation, I think that there's a little bit more going on potentially. This seems like a setup to me for releasing dangerous criminals back into the public that maybe we have that are maybe El Salvadorian. Some of these things are very concerning. We oftentimes in our government initiate these types of trades, and we will trade dangerous criminals for our citizens. My question is, what criminals are we going after this time? What are we going to trade this time? Who are we going to trade? Well, I think eventually we're going to find out. We should definitely keep an eye on things from that point of view. One more aspect that I'd like to talk about regarding the immigration issue is the 14th Amendment. The clause states, these clauses are there for a reason. When you are born in the United States, you are a citizen. You were born on this soil, so you are a citizen, a legal resident. Donald Trump has allowed citizens who were born in this nation to be deported. He has allowed ICE to go into schools and pull children out of class. It's kidnapping. We can do much better than this. There are plenty of options out there. I believe that we should use them. Options that lead to peace, options that lead to prosperity and less harm to each other. And that's on everyone's end. It's everyone's responsibility to help bring about peace. And we all have a little part to play. Whether it's a big role like the president or a smaller role like a citizen in just our own little cliques and spaces that we have. We all have a responsibility to help bring this about. Making sure that we handle our immigration issues with responsibility, with some amount of compassion, with logic, with law, making sure that immigrants who want to come to this nation understand our laws, understand the process, understand how they can get help with the process and resources that might be available to them throughout the process. All of these things are incredibly important for the immigration aspect of our nation. I believe that we can come out of this. I believe that we can do better. I believe that we are going to show that we can do better. So with that in mind, we're going to sign off for today. Thank you for your time, and may our path lead to peace and prosperity.